Mississippi is a state that has a vast array of scenic landscapes, natural resources, and a history that is unlike any other in the United States. One of the historical landmarks unique to Mississippi is the Natchez Trace Trail. Running diagonally across the state, the Natchez Trace is a 450-mile-long trail system running from Natchez, Mississippi to Nashville, Tennessee. It was first used by Native Americans as long as 2,000 years ago, and by 800 AD, Native Americans such as the Choctaw, Chickasaw, and Natchez tribes considered this land as sacred, not only using the well-worn trail for travel, but also leaving behind sacred sites such as burial mounds and monuments that they built primarily by hand. By the 1790s, boatmen from Kentucky, Pennsylvania, and the Ohio regions began ferrying their goods down the Ohio and Mississippi rivers to Natchez and to New Orleans. These men were called cane tucks due to the fact that most of them were from the state of Kentucky. Once the cane tucks delivered their goods and products, their only method of returning home was to walk. The 500-mile-long Natchez Trace Trail was their most direct route, and by 1810, nearly 10,000 cane tucks a year were walking home via the Natchez Trace. Notable figures also used the trace as a means of travel. In 1809, Meriwether Lewis, who gained fame through his 1803 cross-country expedition with William Clark, was killed while traveling on the trace, although many speculate that his death was the result of suicide. In 1812, Andrew Jackson and his troops used the trace to move supplies during the War of 1812. As walking the trace became more common, rest stops, called stands, began to develop so that the travelers could find accommodations for the night. Stands were located every 15 to 20 miles, and by 1820 there was over 22 of these stands in existence, each offering food and shelter during the night. By the 1840s, the use of steamships allowed travelers to journey back upriver without having to walk. However, many of the stands had become popular areas of commerce for locals. One stand, located in the center of the state at Redbud Springs, was called Choate's Stand, and it was opened by trapper Dave Choates in 1811. In 1833, a proper town was founded at Choate's Stand, and in 1836, that town was given the name Kosciuszko in recognition of Tadeusz Kosciuszko, who was a Polish patriot, free speech advocate, human rights advocate, and military engineer. Kosciuszko was appointed to George Washington's staff, and he was instrumental in America's fight for freedom during the Revolutionary War, particularly during the Battle of Saratoga. By the late 1800s, the town of Kosciuszko became the county seat for Attila County, and in 1897, the current Attila County Courthouse was built to become the center of the town. By the early 1900s, Kosciuszko was a thriving cotton community, with large mills and factories contributing to its growth. Additionally, railway lines further opened up the town to development, as Kosciuszko became a prominent stop along the Canton, Aberdeen, and Nashville branch of the Illinois Central Railroad. The trade activity became so prominent that Kosciuszko became known as the Beehive of the Hills. As the town became a prosperous, close-knit community, Kosciuszko boasted churches, schools, restaurants, and funeral homes. One such funeral home built on Adams Street in 1951 was the Woodall Funeral Home. In 1955, it changed hands to become the Newell Funeral Services until 2001, when it once again changed hands to become Culpeper Funeral Services. In 2017, the building became abandoned, but not after nearly 4,200 bodies had passed through its doors between 1954 and 2017. Today, the building is considered to be one of the most haunted locations in Mississippi, so Soul Sisters Paranormal traveled to Kosciuszko to determine for ourselves if this old southern funeral home really is haunted.
We know that you're a female, that you're married, that you're wearing really beautiful fragrance. Was your funeral service held here? It was. Okay. Thank you. Step away. You can step back now. Thank you.
The Old Southern Funeral Home is an interesting and historic building, and we are excited to investigate this unique location. Upon arriving, we were met by Donald and Doyle from Southern Paranormal. We were given a complete tour of the building, including hearing reports of different paranormal claims in each of the rooms. The building is comprised of 2 stories. The first floor holds the former lobby, an office area, 2 former viewing rooms, and the former large chapel where family and friends would gather to say their last goodbyes to the deceased. The upstairs area held the large former casket display room where families would make the final arrangements for the deceased. There was also a large former storage room and an elevator landing where bodies were taken from the first floor up to the 2nd floor embalming room. The embalming room was where the bodies were prepared for burial, and when the doors closed in 2017, many unclaimed personal items from some of those bodies remained in this room. For example, false teeth, watches, and bracelets were left along with many of the tools and notes that were used during the embalming process. After getting a complete tour of the building, Jenny and I got to work setting up the stationary equipment that we would leave running throughout the night. For example, we left the night vision video camera in the former viewing rooms. We left the night vision video camera, voice recorder, and laser grid in the upstairs casket viewing area. We left the night vision video camera and a voice recorder in the embalming room. We left the night vision video camera in the lobby. And we left the voice recorder, laser grid, and night vision video camera in the former large chapel area. After setting up all of our stationary equipment, we started our investigation. Throughout the night, we conducted EVP sessions and used various pieces of equipment in an attempt to get the spirits of the funeral home to communicate with us. During the night, we used the spirit box in several of the rooms. Generally speaking, a spirit box is a small AM/FM radio that has been modified to very quickly sweep through frequencies, with the idea being that spirits could potentially use the white noise of the static to communicate. The first spirit box session that we conducted was in the upstairs casket room, and we received what we felt were compelling answers to some of our questions.
Anybody here with us tonight? Kevin? You say Kevin? Hello? How you doing, Kevin? Kevin, how old are you? 24? Are you 24? Yes. Okay, thank you, Kevin. Kevin, how did you die? Can you say that a little clearer? We didn't catch that. How did you die, Kevin? Tumor? Did you say tumor? Kevin, is there anybody else here with you? Kevin, can you say my name? You really didn't introduce ourselves. What's my name? No, your name's Kevin. What's my name? You don't know? Kevin, so you need to talk as clear as you can using that box. How long have you been here? What year is it for you? 60? Who's your president? Who's that? I ask again, who's your president? I almost heard like a southern cotta, like a Carter. Are there any children here? Are there any children? Do you like that we're here? Sometimes? Well, I don't know. Who was here last night with you? Can you say her name? Yeah, Jenny was here last night. Who else was here?
After that spirit box session, we were leaving the upstairs area, and as we left the room, the voice recorder, which was sitting in the back of the room, captured the following EVP. A few seconds later, this next EVP was also captured on that same voice recorder. We conducted a second spirit box session in the downstairs viewing room, and again, some of the answers were extremely interesting to us.
Can you say my name? Who owns this funeral home? You own it? What's your name? Who are you? You Howard? Howard is better. See? Yep. Howard there. Yep. Who are we? We're here to tell your story. I'm Jenny. That's Christy. We're with Soul Sisters. Who are you? Sue? Hi, Sue. Is Trudy here? Is Everett here?
Besides the spirit box sessions, there were several other noteworthy occurrences from the investigation that night. For example, as stated earlier, the embalming room had numerous unclaimed items that were removed from various deceased persons. One such item was a digital watch. Although this watch was over 5 years old, at midnight, the alarm on the watch started going off, which was interesting to hear. In addition to the alarm, during the night, while Jenny and I were in the neighboring room conducting an EVP session, the voice recorder in the embalming room captured the following whisper. For a couple of hours during the night, Jenny and I were joined by Doyle and Kyle from Southern Paranormal. We conducted several EVP sessions together, and then Kyle and Jenny decided to conduct a K2 session in the chapel. They were the only two people in the room during this time.
Can you come back to the light? Can you come closer to the light and make it go to red?
Light it up again for us, please. Get that. Light the red. Do you know Howard Nowell? Do you know Mr. Nowell? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Step back, please. Are you Mr. Nowell? Are you Mr. Nowell? If you are, can you take it to red? What's that? Were you married? You were married. Okay. So you're a married female. Step away, please. And you are the one wearing the beautiful perfume, right? Okay, thank you. So a married female, really nice perfume. Did you live in this town? If you lived in this town, will you take the meter to red again? Did you live in the state of Mississippi? If you were anywhere in the state of Mississippi, can you light that meter up again? Wonder where you lived.
If you're still here, will you come back up to the device in my hand so the lights will go off? If you're still here? Okay.
Yep. Okay. Thank you. Can you tilt it up just a little? Thanks. Perfect. Alright, so you're still with us. I'm trying to think of some questions to ask you. We know that you're a female, that you're married, that you're wearing really beautiful fragrance. Was your funeral service held here? It was, okay. Thank you. Step away. You can step back now. Thank you.
Finally, during our tour, we were told that other investigative teams have captured the sound of the elevator moving from the first floor to the second, even though the elevator is no longer in service. During the night, our voice recorder in the embalming room may have captured that sound as well. Funeral homes are locations that are routinely exposed to torrents of emotion when loved ones gather to say their final goodbyes to the recently deceased. The walls themselves sense the sorrow, loss, love, anguish, and pain that are exhibited during these times. Funeral homes, by their very nature, symbolize the ending of life and the beginning of death. Edgar Allan Poe once said, "The boundaries between life and death are at best shadowy and vague. Who is to say where one ends and where the other begins?" Perhaps funeral homes, like the old Southern funeral home in Kosciuszko, are places where that boundary is the thinnest. The final place to see the physical body, but a place where the spirit can reside forever.